Right, boom, I'll come down from here actually. Thank you for joining me. Another little cheeky drone video. I thought I'd come out in different weather conditions in a different location. Still sort of up on a height. I'm on a small hill here in Northumberland, but it's very grey and overcast. There's very little blue. There's a north bearing wind to northeast, which is that way and that way. But the drone can't handle that. And I'll explain that when it's flying. I best get this started, sorry. So again, just using the Mini. There's a little cheeky Mini, very small. I'll take off from this rock, but there is a way you can take off without that, because I've been asked in your last video, okay, if you want to watch that video, it's up there. That's that one, right, get rid of that, boosh, right. So, what was I saying? Yes, sorry. It's been a long walk, So I had a question, what if it's muddy or the grass is too long or it's snowy, what do you do then? I'll just connect this to the aircraft. Okay, yes, turn that on. So what you do is, instead of needing a flat surface or a landing zone, like what we've got there, what you do is you could do a hand takeoff and a hand landing, which I'll show you in a moment. I'll show you the normal method, and I'll record me, I'll record what the drone sees, and I'll record what the screen sees. So it's a little bit for everything. So if I start that, screen recording, yes, going, right, boom, diggly ding, right, we're off. Right, that's on. So what I'll do is, just to show you that it's on, I'll walk over here, probably out of shot, but am I still in shot there? So can you see me? There. So I'm still here, so what we'll do is, in fact, I'll come slightly out of shot. I'll take these off because it's gone even more overcast and I can hardly see. So pop them there, right, boosh. Right, what have I got here? So, top left, we've got normal mode, home point updated. Why did that come up? That came up because it has got enough satellites. If you look at the top right, it says 17. There are enough satellites for it to ascertain accurately where its home location is. So if we're ever out and about and I say return home, it's going to accurately be able to get back. If you don't wait for that prompt, it's not going to be exact enough. It says takeoff permitted. It is in this area. I have double checked that. I've got ditch points in case anything goes wrong. I know the area and I've looked it up. Top right again, 93, that's the battery. Then the 0000 is your estimated flight time. That isn't going to change at the moment because we're not in the air. I'll start it up and we'll rise up a bit. In fact, I'll move this towards the camera and it might help you see the movement. So if I move over here, in fact, now we'll bring it down a little bit, then I move over here a bit. There, so you'll see on the display there is red. So the red circle on the display that the pilot's seeing, which is what I'm seeing, is telling me that I'm here. I'm an obstacle, so that red semicircle is me. And then in the front, for where the camera is, that red is saying there's also something over there and I don't want to go over there. So it does know that. But what I want to do is, I want to slightly move it to the side. There you go, boom, right. You should be able to see now. And I'll slightly rotate that. There you go. So there's the camera I can see, and here's you looking at me, looking at you and all that rubbish. So can you see it bobbing about a bit? That's as the wind, drops and lowers. It's always maintaining that position through the output of the rotors. And you'll see, as I walk around it, the red on the pilot's display, see it? It knows I'm there, and if I walk away, it should say, oh, okay, he's gone there. Right, it's calmed down a bit, there. And it's looking and it's worried about the camera. So anyway, we'll get this up in the air. So we'll point the gimbal down a bit and get it up in the air. In fact, I'll show you how quickly you can get up there. So if I move back a bit, there you go, you will actually see me. There's me there. Get the gimbal up a bit so you can see where I am. So you see that H next to me? So over there, that H on the bottom there, that is the home point. So if at any point I say, right, come on, you need to get home now, boom, I can do an automatic. In fact, I'll show you that without doing it. So if I press far side of the pilot's view on the second there you go. Right, so you've got two options, land or return to home. Land would just take it straight down. There is an emergency land if you see a vehicle in the sky, which I'm not going to cover on this, but if you needed to ditch it quickly, you can do that with a combination on the controllers. So return to home, you can also update home point. So let's say you're on a boat, you take off, you do a mile, it follows you, and then you go, right, return to home, and you think, why is the drone going over there? What the hell's going on here? Well, it's not actually an issue. Hang on, let's move that off the screen there. That's not actually an issue because you can just update your home point. It goes, right, now I know where you are, where the boat is. So that's just something to bear in mind. So let's have a little look around here. So I'm on a hill here, and then you can see in the distance, and that's, now if you look at the bottom right there, I've got 3 hours 35 available storage at the resolution that I'm using, which is 4K 60 frames a second. That's what I'll upload this at. I'm not doing HDR because something like 8% of the people who watch my channel watch in HDR. So I thought, well, should I bother on this one? Probably not. So let's have a little turn around. So if we rotate around there, you can see a body of water there, right in the middle there. If I'll gimbal up a little. Yeah, so right in the middle there is a body of water. Let's go and have a look at that. I want to see what's going on there. And I'm going to increase height because we're only at 20 meters. So boom, up we go. And rapidly, you can see we are over there. And then I'll take it up even further. I want to probably be at about 100-ish to get a nice view. So we are way up now. There. It's because it's an overcast day, you're not going to get a glorious technicolor, but you'll see some of the colours. We've just come out of winter and hitting spring, and some of the flowers are coming out, but obviously most of the trees are budding apart from the evergreens. So that's pretty cool. Now if you wanted to get a nice shot of that, you could bring it down, and I've shown you this before. You can use the track mode. So we're about 60 meters should do, and then we'll get a nice shot of that. So I'm going to, on the left hand side of the controller there, you can see a little crosshair, so press that, focus track. So focus track, if I draw a box, so you see that there, I'm drawing a box around it. If I let go, so I'm going to tell it I'm interested in that as a location. So right at the bottom there you have active track, spotlight and POI, which is point of interest. So point of spotlight means that when I move, so I'm going to do that now, so I'm going to move to the left. See how it's tracking it? It's tracking it there, it knows it's there. So it's always there. So if I mean I've got active track and spotlight and all of that, but if I move this, so if I rotate there, so I'm rotating to the, well, I'm moving to the right, sorry. The rotation is being handled by the tracking, so I can do it much more. I'm going to go full lock there. There, so can you see the, it's almost got a little icon like you would see on Google Maps. I mean, I would personally move that to the left a bit there, and then get it nice and central, and then, right, rotate now, right. So if you're after that shot, it's always going to stick on that. It's like a spotlight, it's on a specific target, and it doesn't deviate from that target. And then for a little bit of extra coolness, you could come up here, so we're at 60 meters, and then I'll raise it slowly, 65, 70, see? That's a pretty good shot, and then I'll go maximum lock. Boom, we're really rapidly climbing now. Take it to about 100. Yeah, that's about 100. Then keep the rotation. There. In fact, what I'll do is, and I should have done this before, I'll actually record this in 4K because you're just looking at my view here, so we'll do that. Right, we're recording now in 4K 60. So you'll still see at the bottom what I see as a pilot, but you'll see it in much better quality. So we'll rotate the other way, and as you can see, perfect. Keeping the same height there. That's a great lock there, and that's a GPS lock. It's saying, well, I'm going to lock on that specific position and point at it. You also have point of interest, so if I click on point of interest there, now you see on the bottom there you've got a little round circle. Now I can hear an aircraft, so let me just double check. It is a helicopter and it's well out of the way. I'm going to reduce height. I'm at 100, so I'll reduce that. So we'll stop that, reduce, reduce, reduce. You may be able to hear that, there's a chopper up there. It's miles away, but take that to about 60. There you go. Well out of his range there, and I'll keep an eye on him. I can see where he is. He's to the west. Okay, and again, whenever I'm flying, I always keep the drone in visual line of sight anyway, because you need to see these things. So I'll keep an eye on him and see what he's doing. Right. If we go back to a point of interest there and rotate there, you can rotate left or right, and it will lock specifically on that and rotate around that point. I think he is going west, that helicopter there, so no worry there. And we're at more than adequate height here to keep away from him. The seagulls that go higher than this, so that's fine. And then we can stop that. And then you do have active track. I'll show you that in a moment. Actually, in fact, if I use the home feature, so if I cancel that, so we've got land or return to home. Let's try return to home. I could do this myself, but if I click and hold, boom, right, you'll hear the beep, 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 and it's telling you I am returning to home. Now you see on the pilot's view there, that green pipe, that is the expected flight path which it's proposing to take to get back. It will change that if there's a piece of debris in the way or something has changed, but that shouldn't be the case. So let's see if this lands directly on the rock. I'm going to put the controller down, but I'm going to have it in range. I'm going to have it within range so I can grab it if I have to. So just bear that in mind. So it's coming down, and you can see me there. There's me waving, whee! Right, it's coming down. Let's see how good it is. It's not far off. Now I can cancel this. You see on the left there's a little X. Now it looks a little bit off, maybe a little bit off. Let's see what it does. I might have to cancel this. So you'll see from the other camera there. See, I'm not pressing the buttons, look. It's thinking about it. Now it says area unsuitable for landing. Now that's interesting. Now I wonder if it looked at the height and saw there was a difference between the rocks and the bottom, or I was jumping around like an idiot. So one thing you can do is I can come here and show you a hand landing. So I'm forcing it down, forcing it down. Come on, down you go. There you go. There, and that is a safe way to do it. You can also grab it and tip it as long as you keep a hold of it, and that will immediately disengage the engines. But, you know, is that necessary? Probably not. And then if we wanted to take off again, we can re-engage them. So again, I'm not saying you should do what I'm doing, but if you had to in a pinch, you can do that, okay? So we'll take off again, and then we'll do a little bit of active track. So I'll do it this way so you can see. Right, there you go. You can actually see what I'm doing now. Right, so push that up, and off it goes, boom. And it moved away slightly because I've got the automatic pass mode on, so if it detects I'm there, it's going to automatically try and pass that by, right? So we'll move it up a little bit and bring them back. Boom, there you go. And that helicopter is, I can't even see him now, so we're perfectly safe. So right, what we're going to do is we're going to active track. So we're still recording 4K there, so there's me. Now I want to active track me. So far left hand side there, you press the little icon, active track. Focus track is on by default there, but what we want is we want active track. Now can you see there is a plus sign? So I'm moving about, there's a plus sign that says, right, I know that that's a human. So if you click on that, you don't even have to draw a box around me. I could, but you don't have to do that. Automatically in spotlight mode, on the left you have active track. Right, that is now an active track, and we've got it on manual there, so we'll put it on auto there. Auto, there. So it's holding at the minute. It's going to hold its position while I move there, boom. So it's going to watch everything I do in a visual manner. It's not detecting my presence, but so can you see, it's always going to keep that same distance. So as I move towards it, it's moving away. So look, I'm not touching the controls. If I move away back this way, I've got it on auto, so it's going to come back with me. See? So quite clever, isn't it? And it's going to see me and go, oh, okay, I'm going to go back a bit. I thought he was going that way, right? So we'll put it on, you can put it on parallel and all of the different modes. I'm not going to do that though, so put it on manual so I can actually physically move this. So if I wanted to increase height, stick up. You see the way the gimbal's automatically going down. All I'm doing is stick up, that's it. And then it's going to follow me. There you go. And then we'll stick down a bit. If I wanted to rotate around me somewhat, I could move that way. And look, I'm just using one hand. I'm literally stick moving to the left, and it is following me. There you go, see? You can also use the trace wheel. I did cover this in the other video, but we'll come a little bit closer. So we'll come down a little there and forward a bit. Boom, right, we're relatively close. So that trace wheel is an overhead view of what it thinks I'm going to do there. So I'm in the middle there. You've got right, front, left, and you see how I can move this around so I can see at the drone. Right, I now want you to go behind me. So it's going to go behind me. So if I slowly walk, it's going to go to my behind position. And again, I'm not touching the controls. If I then change direction, it's going to think, well, hang on, he's going in completely the opposite direction here, so I'm no longer behind him, so what's it going to do? Right, I'm going to walk that way, let's see what it does. It's still following me normally there. It's sharply deviating to the left, and it's going to rotate all the way around until it's behind me. So I'll walk down this little path there. So again, no hands on the controls, it does it all for you. Perfect. Now I can tell it to go further away, so if I move that little icon to, I'll put it to front and further away, right. So if I walk this way, I'm telling it that I want it in front of me, so it's going to have to work out that it's getting confused now. Hang on, it will do it. Come on, you can do it. There, it's doing it now. So it realizes I'm moving in this direction and I want it far away and in front of me. And I'm keeping a good eye out here. Now, you may be able to hear the wind. I'm not sure if you can hear it on this mic system that I've got, but the wind is getting up now and it's pretty cold. that is holding rock steady, absolutely rock steady. And in fact, I'll bring it back so you can see it on the other camera. I'll get it as close as sensible. You see it following me? See, it knew I was heading in that direction. So we'll turn that off, stop that, boom. And then we'll come down and forward a bit. Whee, there you go, and down. Normally it wouldn't be turn around like this. And then I want to come over here, and then I want to rotate towards the camera. So you can see it, there you go. And forward a bit and down there. Right, so as you can see, that is rock solid. Even though you can see the grass moving here, you may or may not on camera, the grass is really moving here, the winds are moving at the tops. So while that battery is sensible, let's get it up and we'll have a good look around. Right, I've got it in visual line of sight, it's there, and there's no helicopters or anything. Right, we're safe, right, boom. Let's have a look around, although I can hear something, some sort of engine. So let's have a quick scroll around here. So we'll take this up to about 90-ish. There you go, about 90-ish. Perfectly safe where we are. I'll just have a good look around. Right, there is a helicopter to the west. It's a little speck at the moment, and I'll keep an eye on that. So you can see there is a road round there, and I'll rotate slowly. That's to the west there. So right in the distance is where the helicopter is. And then there's some work going on there, and then there's the body of water, and then there's a little track, and then the trees, and then right in the distance you'll see a wind farm. We're kind of plagued in this area from wind farms where they get government subsidies, but then strangely the electricity bills never go down, even though they're getting electricity for nothing. Can anyone work that one out? Anyway, and I can feel the wind getting up there. It's about 15, it was due to go up to 20 on the gusts, so, but that looks rock solid. You may be able to hear that wind, and I'll rotate slowly there. So you can see the wind turbines there. There's another body of water there, right in the middle there. And then there's some, it's a fascinating little wood, this, because there are some old train tracks and all sorts of other hidden anomalies in it. I'm not going to cover that today because this is a drone video. And then we are facing off to the coast there. Off to the coast. Where's that helicopter? Right, he's well away. Perfect. And there's the south. And I think that's a junkyard there. I'll show you just quickly. I'll stand on this rock to get a good line of sight. We'll just quickly go over. That's a junkyard. So if you're looking for the junkyard dog, you'll be there. I'll slowly gimbal down there. We're still recording in 4K 60. If I was doing 4K 60 and it was mega sunny, I'd maybe use ND filters, but I'm not going to cover that. This should set it off mad, right? Look how many track points you're getting because it's seeing all the cars. It's saying, do you want me to track that? How many? Well, there's hundreds. Which one do you want me to track? So you can track, by default, I think it's both humans and automobiles. I'm not going to do that on this battery. I'll actually bring it back and change the battery. There's someone walking along there. So I don't want to annoy him, keep people's privacy, and we will come back. Now, can you see at the top of the pilot's view, you've got an H. As I rotate, that H moves to the right, and as I go the other way, it moves to the left. That is the home point. I think that's an excellent sort of augmented reality feature. I really like that. And then as I come up, boom, it says I'm over there on that hill. So as you can see, I've got perfect line of sight to the drone there. So I'm going to come back. So we'll do return to home. So we press that and return to home. And let's see how it comes back. Let's see what sort of a track it takes. So I'm doing all this in N mode at the top there. There is a cinematic mode which slows everything down and slows the gimbal movements down, makes things less sharp and tweens that all out. And you do have a sport mode. What I'll do is I'll show you that other body of water. I'll come back, change the battery, show you how long that actually takes live in real time, so you can think, well, that was rubbish, or that's quick or not quick. We'll land that, and then I'll sport mode it over there and show you. So it's to the top right there. And then if I can get close, as long as I can keep line of sight, I'm happy, just for safety reasons. And that helicopter has gone. The A-team are not going to land. Right, here it comes. Now remember, I took off from my hand. So you've got to remember these things. You've got to go rewind and go back in time and think, now hang on a minute. It ain't going to land automatically, is it? Because it took off from my hand. So it could try. I mean, what I'll do is I'll land it on the floor just to show you it is possible if you get in that position and you go, oh, I can't use my hands, I've got gloves on, I'm freezing, or whatever. Okay, so here it comes. There's me, you can see me there. I'll move slightly out of its way, yeah, so it's going to go, so I'm going to cancel that when it gets to a sensible height. There, so I'll cancel that. You see the little, that's a fake augmented reality shadow there. You see it as I move? That shadow there is that's showing you where the drone is likely to land. So what I'll do is I will move this slightly to the left and I'll land it on the path. And then this way and down. Now it's a bit windy, so I'm going to move it over there and then down, just to show you that you can do this. Boom, there you go. And it's off. Right, so what I'll do is I will change the battery. I'll do that on camera just so you can see. So here's the drone. You can see the wind. I mean, it's a shame I haven't got flowing golden locks that could be blowing the wind and you could see. Or I could wear a windsock on my head or something like that. So, pop that there and pop that there, and I'll get another battery. Pretty easy job. Let me just make sure this damn camera's still on. Let's have a look. It is. Because I have done that before and thought, the camera wasn't on. Right. Okay, so, new battery. There's a new cell. Very small, very lightweight. This is way under it's something like 246 grams in total, even with the cell in. So we'll swap that over. So power that off. There, that's off. Stop the screen recording. Stick another one in. Tells you what the level is. Bing, bing, bing. And that's, pop that there. And the screen should go. Now you see on the screen it's black and white, and then it will return to colour, bang, right. Okay, and then if I walk around, you should see me now, there. So it didn't even have to restart that. It maintains what it was doing, then re-establishes the connection. So pop that back into the hub, which I'm not going to cover on this video. And you can see top right, we have 85% on that battery, which is fine. That's more than I need for what I'm going to do. So we'll take it up, right straight up. And then I want to take it to that body of water. So a slight rotation. It's over there. Keep going up, keep going up. We're at 70 odd meters. Can you see in the bottom left on the pilot's view? In fact, I'll enlarge that. See that map? That's showing exactly where I have been and where I'm going. So H is the home point. Blue is me with the controller. The blue arrow is the drone with the green sort of vision bit at the front showing you what it's seeing, and you can see at the bottom left that's the live video feed. So it's pretty good, and in fact if I come out of this, I need to record, don't I? Right, it would help if I went into 4K. There you go. Forgot again. I'm only doing 10 things at once. Right, go back the map. You can move around that map with your finger, so I'm going to move that around. So there's the body of water that went round multiple times, you see, and then you can move around and you can see, right, I'll scroll out a bit. Where's that body of water? Right, it's there. So I'm going to do this just on the map. So we're at about 100 meters, and I'm going to move forward. So can you see it moving there? Boom. On the bottom left, you will see, on the view, you will see it moving. And then, now I can hear a helicopter again. Where is he? Right, he is west, but he is possibly approaching. So we are moving towards, now we're in normal mode, so I'm going to go to sport mode. Boom, sport mode, much faster. If you watch on the bottom, very bottom, you have 99, then you have meters per second, that's up and down. A helicopter, is it coming this way? He's rotating now, he's going south. I must keep an eye on him. And then if I rotate slightly to that body of water, so meters per second, see it's at about 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, so let's go full whack, let's see what speed we can get. 7, 8, 9, very rapid in sport mode. We're going to, remember, we're going against the wind here. So 10 meters per second. It depends what the wind's doing and what angle you need to be at, and that helicopter's safe there. So you can see the wind form there. In fact, I'll move that up so you can actually get a better view. So wind form and the coast in the distance there. And then there's that body of water which I wanted to see. Now we're close. I want to turn sport mode off. Why would I want to do that? Richie, why do you want to do that? What's the point? See on the top right next to you, number of satellites, 29. Just to the left, it's red. That's an indication of your obstacle avoidance. Now, the problem is, now if I just double check here, yeah, the problem is if I have sport mode on, you lose obstacle avoidance. So there, see how it goes white now? Normal mode. Because if I forget that and I come back and it'll whack into a tree if I'm going on like an idiot. So let's get a look at this water. Let's move over the top of it. Still in line of sight, perfect, because we're at a rapid height there. So to me, that doesn't look very deep, does it? Done this 4K, so if you make sure you go to the settings on the bottom right of YouTube and pump it up, you will get a good view of it. Yeah, so let's get down a little bit and see what we can see. I can't go down too far because there are trees in front of me, so they're at a specific height, so I need to have a visual line of sight. If I move slightly to the left here, so I'm away from there, that's better. Right, that's much better, right. Let's get a closer view. So you can see in the middle at the bottom there, 60 meters, 50 meters. Right, probably about 45, because I don't know the exact height of the trees there. I know the ones here because I've measured them. So I can't see any wildlife, but remember I'm using a controller. You would have this on a 4K screen. So I'm just moving along here. You can see at the bottom there's the H, so that's where I am. Let's move this around. I don't see any sort of boats or people fishing or anything like that. That just looks like shallow, muddy body of water to me. With, what's that? Is that like an access road? Let's have a little look here. As long as there's no one there and I'm not spying on anyone, I've got no problems with that. Yeah, there's a little road there. So if we gimbal up, let's see where that goes. And then it splits left and right, which is south to the right and north to the left. And that way, you might see it in the trees actually. You might not. You see there's a little channel there as well. It's hard to see. Let's bring this up a bit. Because I have looked before, there is a hidden railway line, or the remnants of a railway line I should say. I think it's further over that way. I probably could find it if I needed to. But it's beautiful here. And then I'll get as close to these as safe, and I've still got line of sight. If I move to the left here, there you go. Right, yes, I can see that. I can see the windmills from here, or the tops of them anyway. So there's quite a few there. So they must be making big bucks, and the sea is in the distance there. So there, that's about as high as max altitude, which I've got that locked so I don't go over the prescribed limit. So I'll take it slightly down, about 113 there. And you can see I've still got full remote control signal, full line of sight. That's not in any sort of danger. So we'll rotate that back round and bring it back. So you can rotate quite quickly if you want to, or quite slowly. So there's me on the hill, you will see there. That's me. Boom. Right, so let's gimbal down and blast over this water, and then we'll come back. Because it's quite beautiful here. It's much nicer in the summer, obviously, the colours. And because these are evergreens, you don't get those fall colours like you do in places like New England and, you know, absolutely stunning places. Yeah, is that the line there going left and right? It might be. So I've only been here a few times, but it could be. That line there could be linked to the old railway. Let's have a look, see if it has any features. Gimbal down. We are technically coming home. We've got 60% battery there. If you look to the left of the 60%, it's saying you've got 20 minutes doing what you're doing. I can't see anyone down there, but again, I'm on a controller. If you're not on a controller, you'll see way more than me. Okay, so I can see, if we pop that up there, up. And then there's the hill. That H isn't actually accurate. I mean, you know when you've seen, I'm on the top of that hill, so I can actually see the drone. So it looks slightly off, but don't worry about that. We'll go for the top of me. We'll come down a little, so we're at 112. We'll come down substantially, but not too much. I'll go towards that traffic, and we'll see what that looks like, and then come back. So boom, you can rapidly descend there. See it's -5 meters per second, right? So I want to be about 40 there, about 45ish. So there's me, and then we'll gimbal down so I can get me. So there's me, and the rocks. And you can see I've moved slightly. You see how I've moved away from the rocks because I wanted a better line of sight. And then do you see how the drone's slightly slowing down? Because as the gimbal goes further down, it becomes more difficult. It can't take so much of a pitch forward. So we've blasted past. You've just got fields again here. And then you've got cars, and then off into nowhere. Beautiful. Oh, the sun's coming out. I don't believe it. My goodness, the sun is actually coming out. Let's see if we can track a car here, just out of interest. I'm not going to go over the road, but I'm certainly going to try and track a car. And I want to track one probably going to the upper right of the screen. So let's see who's coming. I'll put it on active track. Focus track enabled. Boom, right, track him. There you go. Bang, right, follow him. I've put it in sport mode, and I know I'm at a height where that isn't going to be an issue. So I'm over to the right there on a hill. I'm just one field over, and there's the water body that I looked at. And you can see he has completely outpaced the fact that I've put that in spotlight mode. You see how it's still following him? There, and then it's lost him. So if I turn that to active track mode, so if we gimbal that down, so we'll try that again in active track mode, it won't necessitate me having to keep things stable. So, is anyone coming? I can hear the traffic from here, just in the distance. there's a car, but it's going in the wrong direction. Here comes one. So we're about 40-ish meters. And active track. And then, yeah, follow him. Bush, active track, sport mode. Right, it's going to follow now. Perfect, so it will follow that. It can see it's a car, it's going to do its best to keep up, but bear in mind that is 60 miles an hour. This drone can't do 60 miles an hour, so it's moving and it's still tracking, but it will lose that track, watch. It's doing its best, and lost at that point. Because, you know, this drone simply can't do 60 miles an hour, or some people drive along there at 70, I've seen that. So let's bring this to where I am. So there I am, and there's the body of water. And I think that's probably enough. This was just supposed to be a very quick one. Again, if you want me to do more videos like this, just stick it down below. I'm more than happy to do that. The last one, I'll put the link in the description. Let's bring this back manually. So we are about 40, 50, so there we go. So I'm going to remember I'm in sport mode. So top right, you see it's red. Click normal, right, safe. It will obstacle avoid when necessary. So let's bring that down. I would do an obstacle avoidance test walking through these trails, but the problem is when you've got no leaves on trees and the very fine branches, it becomes extremely difficult for it to do that. So we'll bring that down. And again, I'm doing this manually, and you can just see there's my track that I've taken. You can move it around. You can put waypoints and all sorts of things on here. I'm not going to do that on this. So we'll go back to that. Another thing I haven't showed you is the obstacle avoidance cameras, actually. So if we come down, and I'll move back to these rocks. Right, I will show you something quite interesting. You can actually get a view from what the obstacle avoidance cameras see. So we'll rotate around a bit there. And bring it down. There's the drone. And then forward. Boom. So then bring it down again. Back a bit there. So let's have a look at these cameras. So bottom left, if I swipe that, I've got, that's like what I call a calibration view on like a compass. I'm not going to go into what that is, you can make that bigger, but there's the obstacle avoidance. See the front camera there, see it's flashing yellow, it knows there's something there, and that will turn to red as I get closer. Well, if I gimbal up it might help, hang on. So you can actually see me because it's looking at the floor at the moment. Right, there's me, dancing around like an idiot. There you go, there's me, right, so obstacle avoidance is red, so that's the front camera. You've got a left camera there, which is having a look at all times, right camera, and then you have rear, which is looking back to make sure it's not going to back into anything. So if we go back to that, and then I'm going to land this now, I'm going to bring this in. The wind is actually, you know, dramatically jumped up, and you can see that the whole thing is pitched slightly to one side. It's having to do that to maintain its position against the wind. So if I rotate that to the left, there you go, you will see the camera. So that's pretty good. It's doing a good job there. So we need to land this, don't we? So if you remember what I did before, I did a hand landing. So I shall show you that again. So let's get some height and then we'll force it down. So we're saying, right, land, 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 land. Now at first it's going to say, there's something under there. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing it. Hold it and it will force it to do it. I think that's perfectly safe to do, but again, I'm not telling you what to do. Follow the manufacturer's instructions. So we'll pop that down and pop that down. Right, that's been good fun, that. So pop that there. So thanks for joining me. If you want me to do more like this, I will. I was going to do one where I was going to go around a monument and show you things like that, but some people are quite interested in the mechanics of it. How do you fly? What are the controls like? What are the limitations? What can it do? What can't it do? What does it actually look like for the pilot? And that's what I hope I've covered today. So thank you very much for joining me. I hope you have a good day. I am off. Goodbye.